All right, welcome everybody. This is your monthly Xbox 2+1. I'm your host, Randall Thor19, the man with the million. With me, as always, we have managing editor Jez Corden, coming off of a epic 5-hour podcast last night. Buried in work. Diablo's launching tonight. How you doing, brother?
Brother, I'm drowning.
You're
I'm
drowning?
literally drowning.
Yeah.
So sort of stumbled in here really late and last minute, and chaos. Rand set up the show for us today, everyone.
So it's on my channel, unlisted, but it'll be on your channel for everybody else eventually, like later. But yes, and our guest this week, we have Mr. Bad Bit of the Trophy Room. What's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm making my final stop on the Xbox tour with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited to talk all things kind of disappointing PlayStation news with you guys.
Some people would say disappointing, but it's showcase season, so it's not just PlayStation. It's also Xbox, because I don't know, you see it's linked. Everybody's like, oh man, Xbox has an easy layup, all these sort of things. And I've always appreciated your content. So
Thank you.
It's
Likewise.
it's good to it's finally good. I don't think we've ever really podcasted together. Actually, have we? I'm not sure. Have we podcasted? Maybe.
I think maybe once on Season Gaming for like
Possibly.
5 minutes though.
Yeah, possibly something like that.
Yeah.
So, just let everybody know who you are, what you do, where they can find you. If you're interested, you can always follow Mr. Badbit and check out his extraordinaire PlayStation podcast.
I love it. Yeah, my name is Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit. You can find me over at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. You can find my show, The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. This week, man, we got some heavy topics. We're talking about that PlayStation showcase aftermath and all the drama that's follows suit. But honestly, one of our favorite episodes of recent. We just had so much fun, and even like after recording, we hit stop and we're just like, that was a really good show. We enjoyed ourselves. We were a little bit unhinged, and I think when we're in that little unhinged territory, that's where we work our best. But yeah, find us there on YouTube at PS Trophy Room, and you can find us on any podcast service of your choice, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And we have a Diablo 4 giveaway. So if you really like my voice and you want to support the show, hit us with a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You get entered to win.
And you guys just started streaming the podcast live on YouTube, which is very good for you guys.
Yeah, very new. And honestly, the support there has been incredible. I did not think we'd get the traction we would right off the gate. So you can watch us record the show on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So yeah, it's been a great experience this past month.
Yeah. So we do have you on short time because you have tickets already booked in advance for the new Spider-Man movie. We were supposed to do the show on Tuesday, but Jez, Jez couldn't do it, and Jez couldn't.
The man's tired.
Yeah. So we're doing it today. I apologize for having to shift the show a couple days and it being a shorter episode, but we'll have another Xbox 2+1 later this month after the Xbox Showcase with Paris, Lily of Gamertag Radio and Kind of Funny. It'll be an interesting one because the showcase will have happened. We'll know, hopefully, the future roadmap of Xbox after Forza Motorsport. And either people are going to be really happy or people are going to be kind of upset like they were, or at least some people were after the PlayStation show. So that should be really interesting. But Joe, we need to talk about the PlayStation. We need to talk about Xbox. So I guess everybody knows what me and Jez thought about the PlayStation Showcase. I always kind of view it in the lens of, hey, I watch those shows because I bought a PlayStation strictly for the exclusives. I only turn it on to play exclusive games on there. Yeah. So maybe I view it differently than everybody else, but to me, the show was kind of light on PlayStation-only content, especially first-party stuff, announcing with CGI trailers. I thought was kind of lame because they're kind of difficult to imagine. Like, oh, what is fair play? Like a multiplayer. Like I'm trying to imagine it in my head, but I really can't. But how did you feel about it? What were your thoughts overall after waiting essentially 18 months, almost 2 years for a new show? How did you feel about it all?
I talked a little bit about it this week. It's such a strange feeling, and it's almost like I try to always take myself out of the entitled gamer. Like this is what I wanted. I do like when we do predictions. Like I'm just happy we get games. You know what I mean? Like all my I will never get a Bloodborne, but I'll always hope for a Bloodborne.
You always be praying for that Bloodborne 2. What would you want more? A Bloodborne remake or a Bloodborne 2? If you had your choice, if Jim Ryan came to you and was like, we can either do one or the other, which one would you pick?
I'm gonna go with remake, and the reason why is whoever's taking care of that needs to really show me they get it. Like they need to put in the effort on that remake before we risk it on a sequel.
But what if it was From Software doing it then?
Oh, if it's from, then go make me a sequel.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree with that. Be like, oh, if it's from, but if it's like Blue Point or somebody, it's like, do you really understand it? Yeah, so. I don't know.
Blue Point did a good job with Demon Souls, didn't
they
they?
did. Yeah, they did.
They did a fantastic job with Demon Souls. Actually, maybe it was.
I'm waiting for that to hit PC, man.
Yeah. Oh, hopefully soon. I mean, the problem with that remake was it was maybe too fateful in some of its like core designs. like the world tendencies are awful. I hate world tendencies. But nonetheless, like when it comes to predictions, I don't need to have anything right. As long as you show me things that I'm going to be looking forward to, that's what really matters. I don't even mind that much CG trailers, and I know I'm in the minority of that, but I fall into this weird place of like, as a showcase of just games I'm interested in, dude, I'm buying most of those games. Like Metal Gear Solid, absolutely. Alan Wake, absolutely. AC Mirage, absolutely. Dude, Marathon, I'm going to be all over that. But as like what I'm here, why I'm a PlayStation fan, it's not for that SSD. It's for the developers that make them. They're my favorite ones. And I didn't see any of them there other than Insomniac and Spider-Man that we knew was going to be there. So I was just left a little disappointed overall of just what I actually saw out of PlayStation output. That's where I'm like, show overall for me is like a 7.5. But as a PlayStation showcase, it falls a bit below that because I'm expecting to see, well, like you alluded to, earlier, which is like, what's after Forza? I want to know what's after Spider-Man. I don't know that out of the showcase. Yeah. I think that's a failure.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm super happy about Alan Wake 2, right? Like, my most anticipated game for the rest of the year. So, like, it had some titles there where it's like, okay, yeah, like, I want to play this day one, but I was like, all right, I watched the PlayStation Showcase for the PlayStation games, for the first party or the second party. And what do you think is the reason for the lack of first party showing up? I believe it was what? It was three first party studios plus Helldivers 2, which is a publishing second party thing. Why do you think it? I guess like that was like, why do you think it was so few? After essentially 18 months of waiting, everybody was expecting a big blowout. Like, oh, here we go, we're gonna get the roadmap, and then okay, we didn't really get it. There's talk of a second show later in the year. I'm sure there will be a state of play for Spider-Man, but what do you think? What do you think's going on? What do you think was the reasoning?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a couple of things. Like, first, I'll start with the bad news.
Okay.
It could be a COVID affected that, publishers' pipeline of what they wanted to push out to folks, right? We saw that affected Microsoft in 2022. It looks like it will have probably affected PlayStation in 2024. So, the bummer news is it very well could be their pipeline got messed up by COVID. The games that we got in the last 2 years were probably already very far along development, and they want to make sure that these games have at least ideas of dates before they just push them out. to the population. So it could be one of those. Again, that would be a big bummer. It also felt like an obligation. Like, hey, we have Assassin's Creed, we have Alan Wake being at Jeff's show. Your partners want to show their things, so here, like, just create a show so we
like,
can
here's
show
Final
show
Fantasy 16 again after you just showed it. Here's Street Fighter 6 again because we're contractually obligated, right, to do it because they're our partners.
And you're gonna get Final Fantasy 16 again next week, so it's like they want again that PlayStation support in terms of like what we shook our hands about when we were making these deals. And so part of it felt like an obligation. So maybe, they can have a sizable state of play somewhere, but I kind of think it's the latter. It's like probably COVID affected some of these games pipelines that we didn't know about. And it makes it harder to, create those games. But I'm not actually the one to subscribe to the fact of like, we're getting a second showcase. Because to me, that idea gives PlayStation the out. It's almost like an excuse of like, well, don't worry, they'll have another one. It's like, no, we waited 600 days and this is what we got. So I'm working off the assumption of we'll get another showcase in a year. But for right now, this is what we have. And again, I'm not willing to give them the outgoing, maybe in a couple months. Like, we'll like the guess of like, we're going to get another showcase. I'm like, yeah, of course we are. They're called State of Plays. We'll probably get one or two of them before this year ends. But we're not going to get like a showcase like some people were alluding to. I don't think that's the case.
I mean, you never know. They did do 2 in 2020. Granted, it was the launch of the PS5. They only did 1 the following year. And even the one in 2021, a lot of people didn't like and felt it was saved. Felt it was saved by the end when they transitioned to, hey, here's Spider-Man 2, here's Wolverine, here's the final trailer for God of War. And I think a lot of fans, when you watch reactions, were expecting a similar thing. Like, okay, I was looking at my watch. I'm like, man, okay, it's 30 minutes in. Maybe they're going to save all the first party for the end. And then, like, you're like, oh, man, there's 15 minutes left. And then it was like, a Gran Turismo trailer? Like, you're just like, what is going on? One of the reasons I think we're in this situation, like both Xbox and PlayStation, is because I think part of it is because games just take so long to make these days.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that really kind of affects when you can show something, how far out you want to show something, and when you're doing like live service. I guess that's the other thing. Well, I have another question, but we have one in chat here I thought was very interesting from Leets Sandersuk. It's Leets. I always screw up the name. Leets Sanders. He goes, Mr. Badbit, what were you expecting or hoping to see prior to the showcase happening? Like us Xbox owners, we tend to get caught up in the hype before these shows. So yeah, that'd be a good thing. Like your expectations before the show. What were you thinking? For sure, we're gonna see this, and then
And I definitely see that from the Xbox community with the whole Fable stuff happening.
Oh,
Listen, number one Fable fan right here. I'm all like, if I see Fable, I'm gonna lose it. But if I don't see Fable, I'll understand why I don't see Fable. But I think what you said is correct, man. It takes time to make games, way more than we think it does nowadays. We had a question this week about on the trophy room, like, man, don't you miss like the days of like one developer could put out 2 or 3 games in a generation, and now you're like, you got one.
Yeah,
it's like,
I really missed that. Honestly.
Yeah, I think part of it is, again, it takes a tremendous amount of people to get to make the magic that is games, and it's also because I think scope is just too wide for some of these, for the creative vision of whatever project. Every project has to be bigger. Every project has to be better than its predecessor, and I think it's snowballing into what we're seeing here. But my expectations, I always go into every showcase hoping for Bloodborne. Like, I'll be walking into this Xbox one going, they'll show Bloodborne in here. But like, for me, I'm just expecting, I'm expecting the surprises. I'm expecting the things I don't know. And I think what I was so let down by was, I mean, not to say let down, but like when I saw Haven's game, I was like, oh, that's cool. I actually liked that trailer a lot. I'm probably the only person that does, because I see the likes versus dislike ratio on that trailer. It is abysmal. It's like only 20% like, 80% didn't. It was
Which one was fair game? That was
the
which one was
the very first
Haven
one.
was fair game, right?
That
nice
was-
one. Yeah, the first one.
That was like
The Ubisoft
one-
game.
That's Jay Raymond's studio. yeah?
Yes.
Yep.
So it was the Ubisoft
Right.
Watch Dogs Payday sort of heist game.
And I'm in.
essentially.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I was expecting to see familiar faces, and I'm not saying like I'm gonna see Nathan Drake there or anything, but like I was expecting to see a Bend. I'm expecting to see, you know, a Sucker Punch. I'm expecting to just see a studio that I know there in some form. And I think if we saw one of those games, I think the PlayStation fans would have been like, okay, yeah, we saw 2 live service games in there, but you know what? I'm getting my Ghost of Tsushima too. You know? And I think people would have been a little better if that was the case.
Do you think maybe PlayStation was like, all right, but we're showing them Spider-Man 2, so everything will be okay, right?
Yeah, I think PlayStation thought they had probably a better showcase than they had. And I think the reaction has probably spooked them a bit.
Yeah, because some of the reactions around Spider-Man 2 specifically, I thought it looked great. I can't wait to play it. I really enjoyed 2018. I thought Miles Morales, you could even say, was a better experience because it was a tighter experience. It was a shorter experience, right? It didn't have some of the bloat that 2018 had of like swinging through poisonous pollution clouds and all the different clearing and stuff. But are you surprised? Was it the reaction of the showcase not being up to people's expectations that they sort of took it out on Spider-Man? Because a lot of the talk around it is, this doesn't look any different than Miles Morales. Do you think that's a fair criticism, or is that just people looking at it being like, you're upset by the showcase, and for the one game you got a gameplay demo of, you're taking your anger out on Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
Because I kind of look at it like, Spider-Man 2 was kind of always going to look like Spider-Man Miles Morales. They're not reinventing the wheel, right? So, like, yeah, the swing animations are going to be the same, just like in God of War Ragnarok from the original one. What do you think about the reaction to that, the Spider-Man stuff?
Man, you know what? It's kind of like any reaction to any game. Like I'm so numb to it now. I'm like, well, this conversation, to me, it's like, well, this conversation's dumb, and I'm gonna peace out. It's like it's Puddlegate 2.0.
Oh yeah,
You know, I take a look at that game, going, it looks pretty darn good. And where I feel like it's an improvement from Miles, a great one is the lighting looks extraordinary. Manhattan looks a whole lot busier when you're zipping through all the environments, and just how fast you're traversing through that city is really damn impressive.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, yeah, I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom right now, man. Like, that's my game of the year. It will probably end up being my game of the year. It's not the prettiest game when it's static. It's beautiful in motion, though. So, like, to me, it's like, all right, graphics. That's the other problem, I think, probably. It's like we have so many of these dang developers fixing up textures because that's what people actually sadly care about, rather than like, dude, did you see what like Miles can do? You see how fast he can move? Like, those things are truly impressive. The texture on the brick doesn't care much to me. Sorry, go for it.
Sorry, I was just saying, like, it's interesting you talk about the textures because, like, my medium obviously is a blog post, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've been sort of battling my company on is that I want the ability to embed automatic playing Vimeo, automatic playing GIFs in the article, because I think one of the issues that we have with regards to discourse about graphics is that people, you know, when something's a still image or a screenshot, they zoom in and start pixel counting and all this stuff, and you know, you don't know what effects of post-processing effects have occurred on that JPEG to result in that sort of presentation. Like, it could have been like a slight bit of motion blur that came in and muddied the way it presents on Twitter or something. Or then even like images, when you copy and paste them multiple times, they lose quality. Like, JPEG is not a lossless format, right? Like PNG is. So you lose, like, even PNG loses quality when you copy and paste it a million times, and it ends up with this sort of deep baked pixelated look. So I think a lot of the discourse around Spider-Man's visuals and stuff is clearly just console fodder, and bad faith takes.
Now, here's my question for you, Jess. because you kind of scoffed when I said, probably PlayStation's a little spooked. Do you think that they're a little spooked, or do you think they really don't care?
I think PlayStation's probably wiping away its tears with dollar bills at the moment. I don't think
Sure.
they're at a point where they need to worry too much about things. I think they're probably kicking themselves because they had an opportunity to kick Xbox when Xbox was down,
Yeah.
and I personally think that Xbox, the showcase coming up for Xbox is going to be one of its best in recent years. I think they're going to come out swinging. I think they're going to, the show that they've got lined up, I'm pretty excited for. So I think that if Xbox if like I mean, this is not based on any insider knowledge. I just extrapolating from all the information that's out there and development timelines and the sort
Everything's
of
lining up.
the messaging. Yeah, a lot of things are lining up. Yeah, and
Yeah.
sort of the messaging that Microsoft will want to undo. I think they know that this show has to be great, and I think they're going to deliver greatness. And I think Sony will be kicking themselves because they've allowed Xbox to rob some of its momentum, maybe. But I don't think they need to be worried. I mean, clearly
No.
they've got stuff coming up, and it's
It-
PlayStation. They're unstoppable, pretty much.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and when I say scared, I mean, yeah. I think more of like, yeah, they're gonna probably be kicking themselves, going, ugh, all right, well, we'll do it. To me, it's like, well, we'll do better next year. Like that's my thought of it. Because I think to them, they're like, we have Spider-Man, and y'all underestimate how much this thing is gonna sell. And so I think it's like their main prerogative is we want to make sure people know Spider-Man's coming this year. It looks great. You can switch off between Miles and Peter, and get people psyched for that more than Wolverine at this point, or anything.
Yeah,
they have in
whenever
that
like
category.
Wolverine even comes, I saw a lot of people expecting Wolverine at the show. They were like, "We're gonna see Wolverine gameplay," and I'm like, "Really gonna
Nope.
see Wolverine gameplay when Spider-Man 2 is about to come out?" I don't know about that because we don't even know when Wolverine might come out. How do you feel about what some people would dub? And we had a couple Patreon questions last week on the show that we're finally after a couple years now seeing Jim Ryan's vision of PlayStation, right? Like where before a lot of it was Sean Layden and the groundwork that he laid, the first party, single player experiences that he basically oversaw, right? And he left Sean Layden for whatever reasons, whether it was a battle between titans of Jim Ryan versus Sean Layden. He went and he's doing his own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But now we know PlayStation is investing heavily into games as a service.
Yeah.
We know from their investor panels that they plan to invest more in games as a service than traditional single player stuff that PlayStation is really known for. I believe Jim even said they have 12 games as a service titles in the works. We saw
Let's see how many live.
we saw 3 of them at the show. How do you feel that the Jim Ryan vision of PlayStation is going to go over? I mean, how do you personally feel like seeing like, oh man, I only saw 3 games as a service versus once? How do you think that's going to go over with people?
I don't. So we've been saying this on the Trophy Room for a number of years, ever since they came out going, hey, we have like 10 live service games at the moment, right? I always stood my ground going, they have 12 or whatever the amount is now, but I don't think they expect most of them to live. Right. I think PlayStation is going to think maybe one, maybe two. Well, one has to live, but maybe we get 2 out there, and that's going to help grow the brand, and so that we could go and continue to invest in these games. I'm really happy to see that Jeff Grubb video this week come out and kind of echo what we've been saying for a minute now, which is like it's got to kind of be a bloodbath for these games. Not a lot of them are going to find homes, and a lot of them's metric for success isn't necessarily that it has to light the world on fire, right? Like one of those games as a service game is a phone game, and typically we take a look at like mobile games and we're just like, the phone, but and we look away from it, but those things just print dollar signs, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I'm not worried until I actually see and play or get the game really in my hand. What I'm concerned about is how and when PlayStation talks to its consumers. We always say this on the trophy room: PlayStation talks to us too little, Xbox talks too much, and we would like PlayStation to find the middle ground of like, talk to us, engage with the community. Because right now, to me, the thing that annoys me the most is like, it doesn't sound like you guys are celebrating PlayStation. And I feel like with Xbox, when they have a showcase, it feels like they're celebrating it with the community. So to me, the warning signs is just how PlayStation communicates. But on paper, a lot of things that Jim's doing does make sense. Like, you know, growing the accessory line, you know, going out into multimedia, and even, yeah, going into live service makes sense. It's just, how are we going to get used to this new era? Because we like the era that we're in.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we like it a lot. So Jim's job is to convince us why this next era makes sense for us as consumers.
And it's not off to a good start, because
Well-
well, at least, how much of this do you think is just the Twitter bubble, right? Where it's like the PlayStation fans come to expect your favorite word, the bangers, right? The bangers.
I don't know about that, bud.
You know, the Spider-Mans, the God of Wars, you know,
Yeah.
like that type of experience.
Yeah.
Even though obviously Fortnite and Call of Duty, and we know Jim loves Call of Duty, right? We know he loves
it.
Call of Duty. We
He
know,
goes to Brussels to tell everybody.
just
how much
like on
he loves it.
Xbox, how the most played games are the live service games. I would imagine the same holds true for PlayStation. So how much of it is this just a Twitter bubble of like just angry fans, or fans being like, we want it one way, when in reality, maybe the general consensus is they don't care, or they're actually looking forward to games as a service, or, you know, stuff like that. Do you think there's a disconnect between the two?
Yeah,
there?
no, 100%. I think 98% of all the Twitter conversations that we have actually don't matter.
Okay.
Like, all the controversies that we blow up, they don't. None of it matters. For example, like, I thought this showcase was like mid at the end of the day, but as soon as that showcase ended, I get a text from my brother who's a non-gamer going, "Dude, did you see they got Spider-Man 2 trailer came out? Let's watch it." Right? And then, like, he texted me again, he's like, "Yo, they're remaking Marathon?" It's like, you know, a lot of it is we are in a bubble of social media, and we're taking a look at things that truly don't matter, like how Kratos gets into a boat and then we try to overanalyze it. I was actually thinking about this the other day. The Twitter spaces I thought would be so much better in this generation. I thought, it's like, listen, we're all in our camps now. Like, there's really nothing to prove here. You know, Phil's mentality is kind of like a few weeks back was kind of the mentality I've had. It's like, people are genuinely, they like their boxes and they're not gonna, you know, go away, you know, whatever have you. So, like, people will probably just find their niches and be in those communities, and maybe the console war will just die out. And I was so wrong. I think the spaces have gotten more toxic as time goes by. And I just feel like, again, I tune myself out of the conversation. It's just like what you guys are probably arguing about well, whose box is better. I'm just gonna walk away from, because it's so boring to me. That being said, as well, you also have, and this is where I go to the PlayStation fanboys. You have this like weird cult of personalities with this group, where it's just like it's kind of like the Lego movie music. It's like everything is awesome, and like they're constantly singing it, but in cult like, where if something goes wrong, well, don't worry, there's a rumor that PlayStation's going to buy Cyberpunk and
CD
bring
Projekt
back
Red,
Days Gone
yeah.
too. Yeah, so it's just like, it's like you get those conversations. So a lot of it's just like, I feel as individuals, we have to learn what to tune out on social media, because a lot of it is just Puddlegate, and 98% of the time it will not matter. Like, for example, I remember
That stuff was so damn funny.
oh, it's hilarious. But like when people are like upset about the Zelda price, you saw how Twitter did not match reality there. You know, Zelda immensely popular. You know, it's what is it, 10 million?
10 million in 3 days, yeah, something like that, right?
Jesus.
Did
So
you
it's like,
Did you see the controversy over the missing Pokemon from Sword and Shield?
No.
I don't think there was this huge exactly. It's like this bubble, right?
Yeah.
There was this huge non-stop campaign by YouTubers to boycott Pokemon Sword and Shield because, you know, it was the first game on a new engine, so like lots of Pokemon were missing because they hadn't added them yet,
Yeah.
right? And they called it Dexit, like Brexit, you know. And there was this whole ass campaign about it, and then Pokemon Sword and Shield sold like 18 million copies.
Yep.
It's just
I mean,
it just did nothing to the sales of that game
yeah.
whatsoever.
I mean, it's like similar to Hogwarts, right? Like everybody's like, don't buy it, all this
Oh god,
stuff,
yeah.
and look at what happens. It's one of the top selling games of the year. So it's like
Yeah.
a lot of like the controversy on Twitter. We have to realize it is so much smaller than you think, and I think I think what really hurts is our true understanding of for the layman of like how this industry works. Because I feel like a lot of developers just don't want to engage with anybody because they're just gonna get yelled at. Look at the one guy on Twitter was like Insomniac should crunch more. No,
Oh
bro,
yeah, I saw that.
come on, take a shower. You know, those people are the reason why I think smart people are leaving the platform in droves. You know, I want to know how the sausage is made. I don't care about who dumb, you know, 420 has to say about crunching games who's never, you know, I don't know, press a button on a calculator, you know, other than like creating a game. So to me, it's just we're losing a lot because I think we're getting lost in the sauce of the conversations that truly don't matter. And that's the thing that hurts me is like I'm losing insight, you know?
Yeah. So back to the games as a service stuff because
Yes,
the
sorry.
other well no we got you for a short amount of time, so I kind of want to hit all the
Yeah.
salient points, right? We had the information come out because everybody and their mother, like in my mind, the PlayStation Showcase was going to start with Spider-Man 2. Because it just made the most sense. You start with Spidey 2 because it's a known quantity. You start off like immediately with that game. You hype up everybody, and then you end with factions. That was like what I was thinking in my head. And with the new game, you start with the game everybody knows, and people and everybody was expecting factions. Everybody, and then factions wasn't there. You watch the reactions when Jim says our final game, and people are like, "What?"
Mhm.
Right? And everyone's like, "Oh, what the hell happened to factions?" And then we had Jason Schreier wrote an article. I guess Naughty Dog beat him to the punch because he was snooping around. But essentially, factions has been put on the back burner. People have been moved off the team to other projects. Naughty Dog confirmed they are working on their next single-player adventure. I don't know if that's going to be Last of Us 3 or a new IP. But either way, and then it came out that Bungie had come in, taken a look at what Naughty Dog made, and was kind of like, yeah, we're worried about people playing this for a long time. We're going to shelve this, which is kind of insane to give. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You spend that type of money for Bungie. How are you personally feeling about the whole factions thing? And do you think it's smart to give... Because Jez is going to tell you that PlayStation's insane for listening to Bungie. But what do you think about all that?
Well, then I'll be the counterpoint. I think it's smart. I think there's a reason why they paid $1 billion+ for this studio's insight is because this studio has made all the mistakes that PlayStation's about to get into. So they're able to take a look at the rakes that are on the lawn and go, okay, let me move these rakes so you don't step on them because you're about to make a lot of silly mistakes. So to me, it's PlayStation going, listen, we've never done this before. We don't view you as a subsidiary to us. We were like viewing you as a partner. So come take a look at what we're doing from all of our partners and evaluate if they're on the right path or not, because we have no expertise. So to me, it sounds like it's just like they're going to the source for their expertise because they are one of the few that can make a games as a service game work. And again, it goes back to PlayStation knows a lot of these games are going to die. So give us the ones that have the help us with the ones that have the best chance. So that's why probably you saw Deviation, kick the bucket a few weeks ago, is because they took a look at that at what they were making there, going, this still hasn't hit, and probably walked away from it. And I said it on the trophy room. I butchered the Miyamoto quote, but I'll say it here: no game's better than a bad game. So for me, I take a look at what I thank you. What I take a look, or when I take a glance at what's happened with the Last of Us Factions as the one I was excited for, it's a bummer. But to quote Travis from Bitcast over at Season Gaming, if there's anyone that understands being a little bit too ambitious with story in a live service game, it's Bungie. And we know that the Last of Us Factions was going to have this ambitious story tied to it. And I'm probably thinking that is one of the reasons why Bungie probably took a look at this going, this is... No, you don't understand. We made the mistake before. Like, this is a mistake we're still reeling from. So, no, this is not going to work out in the slightest. I think, then to quote Jeff Grubb, it's like baby's first games of service when it comes to Naughty Dog. So I'd rather have Naughty Dog be working on something they know and are good at, which is a single-player story, and less fixated on this multiplayer game that they got going on, if that's the case. So I'm bummed, but I get it.
Do you think Faction sees the light of day?
I kind of don't think so.
Yeah,
I think it probably gets significantly scaled down, or just canceled. From what I've heard, it's and you don't have to. This game was supposed to come out with Last of Us Part 2, and you wasted 4 years. That's the thing that I'm bummed by. It's like, we could have had at least get close to the next Naughty Dog joint if you guys didn't do this. So that's what it's like, I'm hurt because of lost time, not because I'm not getting the thing. But, to see that this game is still in that phase, it wasn't a good look.
Jez, do you want to offer the counter about how Sony's insane for listening to Bungie?
Yeah.
Should we go over this again?
Just a quick.
I think it's insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it showcases Sony's complete lack of knowledge about service games, that you would give Bungie a one-trick pony, literally, the final say on what constitutes a good service game. I think it's mind-blowing that they would do that, because Destiny, even though it's popular, I think it's popular in spite of itself. Because I don't know what it is that makes Destiny popular. I know they feed a lot of content in there. I know the gunplay is tight and stuff like that. But dude, their PvP system is garbage. And even Destiny players say that. Destiny players say that Destiny PvP is garbage. So you're telling me that Bungie, a company that basically hasn't made a good PvP game since like forever, they're the ones who decide Factions' fate? I mean, maybe Factions really was terrible, and maybe it was the right call. I have no idea. But I kind of feel like I agree with you guys, and Rand said that it's not enough that a multiplayer game is just good these days. But it's what makes a multiplayer game viral is very different to what Destiny is and represents. Like, weird games like Among Us goes viral. Escape from Tarkov is like, it's just this weird indie game, originally, and it grew up. DayZ is a goddamn mess, but it's still one of the most popular games on Xbox right now, if you look at the list. And PUBG was an indie game, for God's sake, and Sea of Thieves was completely hollow of content when it launched. And I can't help but feel like Bungie would have come in and looked at Sea of Thieves prototype and been like, wait, you're not having any power gains? This is a completely horizontal progression system. No one's going to play this after 5 minutes. And I can't help but feel like they would have killed some of these games that ended up blowing up for whatever reason. Because I think Bungie has a very narrow idea of what constitutes a strong service game. Lee Sanders UK in chat says, didn't Bungie learn from Blizzard for Destiny? Highly doubt it. I mean, I think Activision was just looking for a cash in there, to be honest, which is why Destiny 2 even exists in the first place. Because Activision loves its retail players, and they were like, let's just release a sequel. And they did the same with Overwatch. It's just an excuse to put something on a store shelf that people can buy. Like how you can buy Fortnite's free to play, but it's still got like Fortnite Spider-Man bundle that you can buy in a shop, or you can buy on Amazon, buy for kids at Christmas and stuff like that. Activision is all about that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think I don't know. I wouldn't let Bungie make all the calls about this, but I can see why PlayStation's doing it, because they just don't have that much expertise in house. It's kind of funny how like Xbox and PlayStation are sort of trying to fix their shortcomings in two different directions right now.
Yeah.
You got PlayStation trying to fix its service game shortcomings and completely killing it on single player games and games that showcase the hardware platform and the brand and stuff like that. You've got Xbox on the other side that's doing really well in service games. You got Forza hitting 30 million. Age of Empires is one of the most played games on Steam, and
Sea of Thieves is a
for
big success
the last million years. Sea of Thieves is a big success. Like even like some of their mobile games, like Solitaire, has like tens of millions of monthly active users. So and Microsoft has a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge there, and obviously Minecraft and stuff. But like they've got the opposite problem, where it's like they don't have any sort of bangers that makes the console desirable. Like all the people who are playing like Sea of Thieves and stuff, it's kind of like a fixed community now. I don't think anyone's buying an Xbox at this point to play Sea of Thieves, but.
I mean, I think you make a good point when it comes to Sea of Thieves. I'll say that, because Sea of Thieves at launch, really barren, not a lot of content in there, not a lot of reason, frankly, to come back. But then you come back to that game a year, 2 years after, and I mean, right now it's my most played Xbox game. I love Sea of Thieves. I have like months of game time on it. So like, I think you're right there. I think, now, I would argue just because they haven't done PvP, or they abandoned PvP for years on Destiny. I don't know if that, I think Bungie knows, and I think making games as service games is hard as hell. So when you have a concurrent player base that is so large still, I think there is an argument to go, okay, these guys get it. They might not make the game or the PvP game that I like, but they at least have that deep understanding of the systems that get people's butts in seats and engage with that product,
Yeah, I mean, just to even kind of play devil's advocate here, kind of even being like Bungie's the right call, is I had the same thoughts about Sea of Thieves, but then we're not in 2018 anymore. We're in 2023, about to be 2024.
Damn.
Right? Live service, you can make mistakes like Rainbow Six Siege did in 2015 and still patch it and get people to play it, because the market wasn't saturated. But when you look at Sea of Thieves in 2018, completely unique, market's not even saturated yet, because I think Fortnite had just turned into what it was. But now you're entering a market where everybody has their niche and everything is just loaded. You're competing against Fortnite and Call of Duty and Apex Legends and Rocket League and Fall Guys and Minecraft and Roblox. Like, there is no room anymore for mistakes. Like, if you're releasing a game, it has to be perfect from day one, because why are people going to stop playing their game of choice to play your game? Your game has to be significantly better than the game they're playing for them to stop and be like, all right, I'm going to start playing this one and abandon all my purchases and abandon all this sort of stuff to start this game. So if I was PlayStation with not a lot of history in games as a service, I would at least look at Bungie to be like, okay, you have actually thrived and you're still thriving even now. Like, give us some feedback. Is Factions gonna make it? Because Factions could be a really good multiplayer game, but that's not enough in 2023 anymore, or 2024, or whenever it would come out. You have to do more than just be good. So it's kind of like, yeah, they may have poo-pooed Sea of Thieves in 2018, but that's a different, it's 2018 is not 2023 or 2024. Like,
I mean,
the
fair.
markets are
You had
completely
room for
different.
error
Yeah.
during those years, yeah. And I think you're right. That's why I think PlayStation knows deep down, and that's what I get worried. They know that a lot of these games that they're going to come out and pump out through second party and the newly formed studios is they're not gonna hit. A lot of them are gonna falter, or have shorter lifespans than they would like. And as a PlayStation fan, it's like, okay, so how does that hurt you? Um, and how does that tarnish the brand and how people look at the games you make? Because you worked on a generation of, we make some of the best quality, narrative driven single player games in the business. And all of a sudden you're going to take this huge risk. It's a huge risk to go, hey, we are, you're still going to get a ton of single player games from us, but we are actually going to pump out a ton of first party, live service games. It's a really big risk that I get just uncomfortable at the thought, because to me, take a look at Nintendo. I feel like they have such a strong portfolio of legacy IP in their legacy because, man, Mario is just great every year or every time it launches, right? Zelda, fantastic. Kirby, I don't know why it sells it the way it does, but it does. Like, they haven't broke from their formula, and it works for them. And so to me, it's like, I also see this live service push as a consumer who knows nothing. Of just like, well, why do you need live service? Is it just because you want it? Because honestly, you're right. There's so little room for error now that are we really going to risk all that money just to maybe get something? I don't know. It makes me a little nervous. That's where my nervousness comes in from.
Right.
I can't help but wonder if, like, I know there's a lot of nerves about the service games and what Jim Ryan's doing, but I can't help but wonder if, like, some of this was not for shareholders, because I think, like, a lot of shareholders are probably sitting up and looking at the way the industry's going, and Sony's a huge company with, like, loads of different ventures in loads of different ways, a very diverse old school kind of company. But every single video game company on earth, or a video game publisher, at least from a game publishing perspective, I mean, obviously PlayStation is a platform, so it's a little bit different, and they make money from Fortnite and Call of Duty, hand over fist. But when it comes to actually publishing games, like, so practically every major publisher has a service pillar which kind of funds a lot of the other stuff. Like, I don't think a game like Sekiro would necessarily exist if Call of Duty wasn't bringing in all this other cash. I think, like, the fact that they still do dabble in single player art games, like, call them games as art, pretty much. And I don't think Diablo would have such a rich single player campaign. I don't think Grand Theft Auto would have such a ambitious single player campaign if it wasn't for the fact that they know they can on-ramp people into a battle pass after the credits roll these days. And I think a lot of Sony's games, like, they just miss that component. There's, once you, like, the whole meme about one and done. I mean, people troll about that, but from a pure cold-hearted business perspective, there's a nugget of, I don't know, insecurity about that, when it's like Sony must be thinking, like, okay, well, what can we do to monetize a God of War player once the credits roll? I mean, all you can do is really do like a sequel expansion, but not a sequel, a DLC expansion, a story expansion. But historically, like, those often just don't sell as well as the base game. So, like, it sort of behooves them to explore ways of, at least, I'm not speaking for myself, really. I'm speaking, like, as a bit of the business analytical perspective, because I'm fatigued with service games as much as anyone else, But I can't help but feel like that they're probably thinking about a lot of this stuff. Like, do we on ramp players from God of War into some kind of God of War service mode? Do we on ramp players from Last of Us into factions mode? It's clearly something they've thought about. You know,
Yeah.
and now they're thinking like maybe we just have those games separate completely, so they don't necessarily impact on the other stuff, and we don't end up with a situation like Halo Infinite where single player campaigns received pretty well, but then the multiplayer services drag the whole brand down with it, kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's a hard needle to thread, and
Yeah.
I suppose that's why they're deferring to Bungie a little bit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't add anything to it because I think you know that the nail on the head there.
So yeah, we got about 20 more minutes with you, so I figured we transition to talk about Xbox, because you do like Xbox, even though you're a PlayStation content
Heard.
creator. I like PlayStation, even though I'm an Xbox guy. We do
Yeah.
have a question from Lee Sanders, who says, Rand, it would be great to get a different opinion on the ABK deal. Is Mr.
God.
Badbit worried about losing those games from PlayStation? Do they believe that Microsoft would honor those 10-year deals? So yeah, you're on the other side. Microsoft about to maybe acquire a big Activision, Blizzard, get all their games and stuff. As a PlayStation fan, what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
So, I'm not a real PlayStation fan, guys,
Okay.
because I never played Metal Gear Solid. Someone said on Twitter
What?
that
No, no Metal Gear Solid? Wow. Okay.
nope, I was 11. I was 11 years old.
Oh my
When
God, you're
Snake
young.
Eater exactly when Snake Eater came out, I was 11.
God,
and
what year was that? 20
was it 2004, 2005 around
You're
there? Yeah.
11 then? Oh my
I
lord.
was like 11,
I
maybe
was
12.
like 20.
Brand was like pushing
23?
30s, late 30s at the time.
Oh my lord. No, not
Yeah.
that. I wasn't that old yet.
Brand was in his
Um,
40s then, man.
No,
What are you
no.
talking about?
But honestly, at the end of the day, here's how I feel about it. I cover PlayStation. I always try to state it forward. I cover PlayStation. It's the platform I know the most. That's why I could speak on a little bit authority on it. But I play games, right? I don't care what the box looks like or the controller looks like. I have the hottest of hot takes. I don't care if it's an Xbox controller or a DualSense. They both feel the same to me. I don't have culture shock. My hands are just like, all right, this is a controller and I move. Like, I don't care about all sticks or whatever sticks. If there's sticks on a gamepad, it just feels natural. Because for me, I grew up as a Nintendo kid. As a teenager, I was able to have all three, but I was mostly an Xbox kid. And then I was a PlayStation boy with Uncharted 2. Like, that was the thing that really woke in my love for what PlayStation produces was Uncharted 2. I remember that train sequence and it broke my brain. But for me, it's about the games, and I will go where the games are. So though I am a PlayStation predominant player, I play 80% of my games on PlayStation, and it has been that for like 10 plus years now. I will go if Diablo 5 is PC, Xbox, 2 only. You see what I did there, guys?
Yeah.
I will go and I will play it on that platform. If Call of Duty in 9 years, 10 years is PC, Xbox, I will play it there. I will play the games where they're meant to be played. I'll go one step further, and this is where Xbox fans usually get upset at me about, which is like that size of consolidation does worry me. When I hear the rumors of like Comcast wants to enter the games industry, I get so nervous because I'm like, Comcast is the
Comcast
the
sucks.
legit.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the devil. So, for me, actually just one sec. Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry, I glitched a little bit. For me, it's just, though that consolidation scares me, irks me a bit, and I don't like change, I'm okay with it because it is a type of merger that we've seen over and over and over again. And at the end of the day, I don't care where I'm going to be playing those games because I'm going to be playing them. It's not going to be on PlayStation. I won't be earning trophies, and that sucks. But at the end of the day, game's a game. I'm going to go play it.
Yeah. So what were your feelings when you would have Jim saying what he was saying about the Call of Duty stuff and Xbox going back and forth. Were you cringing? I mean, I loved it because you never really got that. Like, it was kind of like, oh man, lying, crying, flying, Jim Ryan, like, you know, and all that's like. I'm sick of the whole ABK stuff. Right, it's been going on forever. I only really liked it when it was like getting spicy between the two companies in a console war way that you never really saw before.
Yeah.
You know, Sony making ridiculous arguments, Microsoft making themselves like look weaker than they really are. Like, we don't know how to make games. You should let us buy ABK. Are you over it as much as everybody else is? You just want this whole saga to stop either way?
100%. I just want it to end. I don't care where, what end the dice falls at. It's like, I just want it to end because it all sounds, every single time they talk, each and every one of them, it sounds pathetic. It sounds hopeless. It's like PlayStation's like, we don't know how to make a game. And then like Xbox will come out like, we don't even know how to make a good game. So like, it's just like, we need it. It's like all of it's pathetic. It's just like, you both are great. You both do great quality work. One of them wants to gobble up a big publisher because, you know, they need that catalog to support their ambitions, and PlayStation, you don't. So it's fine. Yeah, I just want it to end. If I see someone quoting, what is his name? Florian Muller again, I'm going to just jump out a window. I can't do it anymore. Jez, are you quote tweeting him? No, don't do it, Jez.
Man, I don't know. I've covered some of Florian's tweets. You know, the dude. I do like Florian because he tracks all the stuff. Because I'm tired of it too, but I still have to cover it. So Florian does all the legwork for me.
That's why I feel so bad for you guys, because you have to live in this every week. You guys have to cover.
Kind of, yeah, it is true. Like we always joke during the Xbox 2. It's like, what is this week's ABK news? You know, but I'm like. I'm someone who I wanted the deal to happen because I'm a Blizzard fanboy. You know, I've got the $700 Lily statue here. My collector's edition for Diablo 4 just shipped. You know,
got your World of Warcraft tattoo.
Yeah, got my World of Warcraft tattoo. I didn't get any of this stuff for free from Blizzard. I bought it all with my own hard-won cash. So you know, I'm lifelong Blizzard fan pretty much since like the Warcraft 3 days when I was a kid, and you know, I really wanted them free of Activision because it felt like Activision was dragging them down. But it kind of feels like after a chaotic few years, Blizzard's kind of found itself again. Like Diablo 3 is really cool. World of Warcraft's doing really well now. You know, as a PC gamer and stuff. I'm mostly playing Xbox. I'm sort of like there's like 65 Xbox and 45 PC these days, and as someone who is a Blizzard fan, I just really wanted them free of Activision, but they seem to have found themselves now. So now that Blizzard's sort of found itself, I don't care. You know, as long as it's not Comcast or someone like that.
Yeah, as long as it's not the literal devil, it's fine. And I'm a big Blizzard fanboy as well, Jess. I'm sorry I cut you off because like I love World of Warcraft. I forget.
No, it's Horde or Alliance.
Horde all the way.
Thank God.
Yeah, no, Alliance, come on, Jesus. But yeah, like I like Wrath of the Lich King's like probably on my top 10 games of all time. Like I love. Yeah, incredible. And but like for me, like it hurts seeing Blizzard, you're right, in the depth. Right? It's just it sucks seeing them that low. And now that they found themselves seemingly, it's starting to feel good to be a Blizzard fan again, you know? So yeah, I'm right there with you. I at this point I can't find myself troubled to care because Call of Duty's not going anywhere. It literally can't, even if Microsoft, I think, wanted to. It just can't. So like it's not like Call of Duty's leaving anytime soon. I mean, even President has shown like Microsoft will keep that game there. You know, look at Minecraft. And so to me, it's just like, yeah, I think for the game that truly matters in this conversation, it's going to stay on PlayStation anyway. So like, who cares if it's on Game Pass? You know, I don't. Again, I'll play it on Game Pass. So like, I don't care.
Right.
In the most respectful way possible. I'm good.
We got a question from X Don the Otaku for you. He says, Mr. Badbit, what's your favorite PlayStation game? And what's the Xbox game that you think maybe has the best chance of dethroning it?
Ooh, what a good question. The best PlayStation game. I mean, Bloodborne, haha. No, I truly love Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Just incredible. Sucker Punch. Oh my God, there's nothing I can. That was my game of the year. I remember Kyle and I getting into a fierce argument that year because he was dead set Last of Us. I was dead set Ghost. I was just like, this
Behind
is.
you, Ghost of Tsushima was better.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
I did not jive with the story of Last of Us Part 2 at all.
Well, and that's the thing for me. Like, I love Last of Us Part 2, but I was just like, Ghost it was transcendent to me. But for Xbox, there will always be the soft spot for two games, and that is Halo.
Mm-hmm.
I have a month of time in Halo, Infinite. I adore Halo, and I think Infinite's the best Halo has been. In terms of just mechanically, it just feels so good. I didn't think I'd move away from the Magnum. I love the Sidekick. It's such an awesome weapon. And Gears of War. Gears of War,
Jez loves
especially.
you
Let me tell you, Gears 1, 2, and 3
Maybe.
has just it's one of my favorite trilogies. I remember playing that game extensively with my best friend, my best friend in high school, Ruben, and like so I have just so many good memories of like he was like I was like his Marcus to my Dom. Like so 3 hurt us in such a way where I think it was like one of the first times in a party chat. I think we're both getting really emotional at that scene. And
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, I don't know. Oh God. And I just hear sniffling on the other end. I go, Ruben, are you crying? He's like, yeah, man. Yeah, man, that's a lot. So for me, Gears and Halo are that's the thing that could dethrone it. Those games, man. So many good memories.
Interesting. So we got the Xbox showcase coming up.
Okay.
I guess I'll throw this one to you. I'm sure you've seen the Fable stuff across the Twitter and the media, everybody talking about Fable. Do you believe that is a Fable tease and we will see Fable at the showcase?
I don't know if I was reading a Jez article over at Windows Central.
Oh, okay.
But way back when, I again, because I don't cover Xbox, I have the luxury of being ignorant to things. Didn't I hear that there could have been some strife there at Playground with Fable? So a part of me thinks maybe
I think that was a Jeff Grubb report, actually.
a Jeff Grubb. There you go. Okay, so
Or maybe
you get to wash your hands.
It wasn't
of
me.
it.
It wasn't me.
Yeah, you get to wash your hands of
it.
But here's another thing. I love Fable. Oh my God, Fable 1? Dude. I remember killing all the people in, I forget what that one town was. I'll just call it.
Was it Bowerstone?
Bowerstone, I think.
Yeah.
I think it reminded me of Goldshire. And I was just killed the whole town and then just like bought all the houses and it just became stupidly rich. And I did that like 4 times. I love Fable. So I want the Fable rumors to be true. But again, if I don't see Fable, I won't be disappointed.
Fair enough. So what do you want to see from Xbox this year? We have an hour. Well, we have it looks like a 2-hour show. We got maybe an hour and a half main show plus Starfield afterwards. What do you want to see?
I want, after the bummer that was Redfall, I want that reason to get excited for Starfield.
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet. I was always history didn't age well with me. I was always more excited for Redfall than I was Starfield. So having that 30-minute chunk, I think could very much change my mind. Akin to, I was not excited for Tears of the Kingdom whatsoever. I saw that Nintendo Direct for Tears, and I was just like, and I'm in. I'm pre-ordering it. So that's what I want to see out of the Xbox show. I would also love to see Avowed, because Obsidian doesn't know how to make a bad game. I would love to get a hard date on Hellblade 2 because I loved Hellblade 1. Have that game platinumed. And I'll switch over to the Xbox. I'll play the second one. I don't mind. And I want what I want most of all is for Xbox fans to be excited at the outlook and not just the end of this year. Like if we don't get Hellblade at the end of this year, I don't think that's bad. I think ending it with Starfield and Forza's amazing as it is. I want to see people be excited for not just the end of 2023, but see that roadmap and get excited for 2024. And I think the number one thing I'm looking for is not a wait till next year type of conversation. I can't wait for next year conversation.
Yeah, the roadmap's important, right? Like we don't know what's after Forza. We know the games. There's a whole bunch of them announced.
Yep.
We just don't know when. Similar to like, hey, PlayStation. It's like, I wanted to know what was happened after Spider-Man 2, and I still don't really know yet.
Here's me.
Yeah, I mean, there's Xbox. You know, everyone's like, hey, easy layup, right?
Yeah.
They can't miss. But I'm always like, you never know, right? Everybody assumed, you know, mainly because of Jez. Do you blame Jez for hyping up people's expectations about the PlayStation showcase? Because I do. You
Brad
know?
keeps kicking me about this every
Jez,
single
what did you
show,
see?
John.
What did you see? DM me. You don't have to
Well,
say it. Just
I'll tell
blink
you,
twice
man.
if
I'll
it's
tell you.
Bloodborne.
Well, yes. I didn't see it. What happened was, I got a really good industry source right now who gave me a lot of great information about, or corroborated great information about Mortal Kombat 1, for example. All the leaks I had about that were completely accurate, and a bunch of other stuff recently, like Suicide Squad being delayed. I think I posted that about half an hour before Jason tried it. I'm putting my mark on that one as well. The Starfield controller and all that kind of stuff. So very connected kind of dude. And they told me that From Software had a presence at the PlayStation show. And I sort of let my mind run wild. I was like, okay, well, they've just shown off a new trailer for Armored Core recently. Are they really going to do another one of those? Or is this going to be a Bloodborne thing? You know, are they going to finally announce Bloodborne for PC? Because it's supposed to be a PC event. So I just kind of let my mind run wild. And I was just kind of like, man, like, of all the stuff they were talking about, like the fact that it's going to, it's going to have a whole PC presence and...
Mhm.
At the investors call, they were talking about PC a lot. So I was just kind of like, man, if all this stuff lines up, and the rumors that I've been hearing, could be a pretty damn cool show. And I already knew about some stuff, like I'd heard Helldivers 2 was going to be there and that it was going to be vastly expanded in scope from a different source. And it was kind of. I mean, a lot of people don't seem to be that excited about Helldivers 2, but I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, it looked awesome.
Obviously Spider-Man. I knew Spider-Man was going to be there because I'd heard the launch window was supposed to be September, I think, originally, which is why I tweeted a few weeks ago that September's looking busy because I'd heard Mortal Kombat was there and Starfield was there, obviously, and Spider-Man was going to be there is what I heard. And I'd heard what else did I hear? Rand, do you remember? I can't even remember.
I mean, I'd have to look.
I can't remember.
But yeah.
Yeah, there was other stuff I'd heard that just didn't. Oh yeah, and Metal Gear Solid. So I leave Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear, yeah.
Or corroborated the Metal Gear Solid was going to be there, but I thought like the Metal Gear Solid was going to show off way more interestingly than it did. Like we just got CGI or whatever. I mean, they didn't even show him speaking. The face had no animation. Like it's clearly very, very early on in the project. So I was kind of like, a little bit underwhelmed with that whole thing. I was expecting, gameplay footage, mind-blowing, modernized Metal Gear Solid 3 gameplay footage. I was expecting. So I kind of hyped it up in my own mind based on some of the leaks I'd had, and so yeah. And some people were very upset with me, as Randall tell me, because I've got them all blocked. So I don't see it.
I got one more question for you, and you can end on this one because you do have a hard time to get out of here, right? So last question. We thank you all for being here. Bad Bit's been amazing. Why don't you plug yourself one more time before we get out of here?
All right. So you can find me over at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. You can find my show, The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, wherever you find your podcast service of choice, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or something else. Tweet me what you guys actually listen to. And if we're not on there, I want to be on there. So that said, you could catch the video version on youtube.com/@PBGamePlay. FPS Trophy Room, where we record each and every Wednesday night. We have the show each and every Thursday, where I talk PlayStation with my best friend Kyle, and we run you through all the PlayStation news you need to know about. And yeah, guys, thank you all so much for having me. It's been it literally
Awesome.
when you're like, we don't have that much time left, I was like, oh my god,
I
it's
know,
already over.
I could go for another hour, but here's the final
okay.
question. I thought it was funny.
Okay.
Elite Sanders wants to know, what's your most anticipated PlayStation game, and why is it the answer Foam Stars?
I mean, because it's Splatoon, baby. I said it on stream. Foam Stars is, I mean, even down to the gunplay, it's just Splatoon. But here's the thing, guys. I love Splatoon. It's one of my favorite multiplayer games. So, like, I just out of sheer morbid curiosity to see what they stole blatantly from Nintendo. Check out Foam Stars.
No, but,
If it's free to play.
What is what you know right now, your most anticipated PlayStation game?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
I mean, yeah, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. You know, I'm about to go watch Across the Spider-Verse, which is I've been counting down the days for. It's my favorite movie of all time. Like, just Spider-Man just means so much to me. So Spider-Man 2 is hands down. There are only two games that could come close to maybe dethroning Tears of the Kingdom right now for me in terms of game of the year, and it's Diablo and Spider-Man. So everything I saw from that trailer has me optimistic that Insomniac's just gonna knock it out of the park.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be great. But
Yeah.
I want to thank you for being here, Jez.
Of course.
If we had it on Tuesday, it'd have been a longer show, more in depth. But I thought it was.
Look
I
at
thought
it.
it was
Look
great.
at this man guilt tripping you,
I
Jez.
mean, that's what you should have heard him on Defining Duke last night, basically ripping apart all the games I love and what I like. So it's just kind of what it is.
Hey, I was tired and grouchy, man.
Yeah,
Come on, I'm sorry.
I know you got to go, so we're gonna end the show. So I want to thank all the patrons for being here. The show will be live to everybody, basically probably next week sometime. We got Paris Lily coming on for Xbox 2+1 after the showcase sometime. Thank you guys. We love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow for the Xbox 2. Later.